As a recap, homeostasis is a self-regulating process wherein biological systems maintain stability in order to function at an optimal level, while adjusting to changing conditions. Meanwhile, feedback mechanism is a physiological loop that either returns the body to homeostasis or brings an internal system further away from homeostasis. There are two kinds of feedback mechanisms, the negative and positive. Negative feedback mechanism returns the body to its normal state, while its counterpart, positive feedback mechanism, brings the body further away from its homeostatic effect. Positive and negative feedback differ in their response to change. Positive feedback amplifies change, while negative feedback reduces change. This means that positive feedback will result in more of a product, more apples, more contractions, or more clotting platelets. Negative feedback will result in less of a product, less heat, less pressure, or less salt. Positive feedback moves away from a target point, while negative feedback moves towards a target.
Examples of negative feedback mechanism. The first one is temperature regulation. Birds and mammals like humans are capable of generating their own heat. Thus, they were called warm-blooded animals or endotherms. Warm-blooded animals, unlike cold-blooded animals, or what we call ectotherms, are capable of regulating their own heat at a certain temperature, which is 37 degrees Celsius, on different occasions and environments to maintain homeostasis. Once a human being starts to feel cold because of his or her environment, the body will do the following. The thermoreceptors will sense that the body is starting to feel cold due to a certain stimulus and will send a message to the hypothalamus, who will then read the message and commands the thyroid to produce more hormone and the blood vessels to constrict, vasoconstriction. You can also feel the effect of this heating process whenever you shiver and see your hair standing up, or piloerection. This way, the body will be able to generate when the environment is cold. However, once a human being starts to feel hot, the body will do the following. The thermoreceptors will sense that the body is starting to heat up due to a certain stimulus and will send a message to the hypothalamus, who will read the message and commands the thyroid to lessen the production of thyroid hormone, the blood vessels to widen or vasodilation, and the sweat glands to produce sweat. This way, the body will be able to reduce the temperature of the body at 37 degrees Celsius despite the hot environment. Another example of negative feedback mechanism is blood pressure regulation, or baroreflex. Blood pressure needs to remain enough to pump blood to all parts of the body. But how does the body determine that the blood pressure pumped by the heart is not sufficient to supply the whole body or is too much for it? The baroreceptors detect the pressure of the blood going through the arteries. If the pressure is too high or too low, a chemical signal is sent to the brain via the glossopharyngeal nerve. The brain sends signals to the heart to adjust the rate of pumping. If the blood pressure is low, heart rate increases, while if blood pressure is high, heart rate decreases.
Here are examples of positive feedback mechanism. Number 1. Childbirth. This happens specifically during labor contractions of a woman when giving birth. When labor begins, the baby's head is pushed downwards and results in increased pressure on the cervix. This stimulates receptor cells to send a chemical signal to the brain, allowing the release of oxytocin. This oxytocin diffuses to the cervix via the blood, where it stimulates further contractions. These contractions stimulate further oxytocin release until the baby is completely born. Number 2. Blood clotting. Another example of a positive feedback mechanism is blood clotting. When tissue is torn or injured, an inflammatory chemical is released. This chemical causes platelets in the blood to activate. Once these platelets have been activated, they release a chemical which signals more platelets to activate until the wound is completely clotted. These examples are some of the most prevalent feedback mechanism-induced activities that are commonly happening to many of us. It is fascinating to see that our body is trying to maintain its own balance despite any changes it experiences every day, just to ensure the welfare of an individual. Even though our body has its own way of fixing itself, caring for ourselves is the best thing we could possibly do in order for this system to function properly and have a better experience in this plane.